This guy built a giant 1,000-gallon vivarium, and a giant ant war is about to break out.
There's also other creatures in there, like termites, geckos, and even spiders.
Only the strongest will survive.
This is Pandora, my giant 1,000-gallon cloud rainforest vivarium.
That thing is epic.
Pandora. I see what he
Isn't it?
did.
This rainforest construction took me months of research,
That'll take me
weeks
like
of
a day.
planning, and 6 days to construct. But though majestic
Wow.
in its current natural splendor,
Well, there's like
it
water
was
running
still
in there too.
incomplete.
So does this
See,
guy
my
live in
idea
there?
was for Pandora
think so,
to be
Jack.
an ecosystem
Oh.
vivarium, and with all its plants now in place, all
It's
it
so
needed now
big.
was the animals.
You
And
could
here
live
they
in there,
were.
I think.
Alex's
I've
forehead
waited
might fit.
months to execute this titanic event. I call
Ew, look at that
Gaia,
spider.
the Great Animal Integration
Wow.
Advent.
Okay, so this
where
guy
I will
is
release
basically
an
Charles
initial-
Darwin playing God.
Do you know who Charles Darwin is?
Yeah, he's the scientist that invented Darwinism. You know, he basically proved evolution.
Call Gaia, the Great
Whoa.
Animal Integration Advent, where I will release an initial team of animals to jumpstart the ecosystem.
I see
Many animals in
spiders,
holding containers were waiting
ants,
patiently
cockroaches.
Grasshopper.
to be set free onto Pandoran soils.
Ew,
to each
roly
serve their
polies.
function in the contained
More roly
ecosystem
polies.
I was trying to create. But little did I know, my giant rainforest
Don't
ecosystem
open that up, you
vivarium
crazy.
operation would not quite go as planned, and chaos would interrupt
This guy
the
just
order
observes
I
everything.
had set in place.
Whoa.
This is the craziest
Oh my
story
God.
of how
Ew,
a war
oh.
of creatures broke out in my giant rainforest.
He said a whole
vivarium this
war
week
broke out. Let's
in a way
go.
I could have never
Oh my God,
predicted.
it's a jumping
And all I
spider.
could do was watch it all play out.
He's got a crazy
in
tricep.
nature's signature raw and often harsh.
Oh,
way,
no.
Leaving my
That thing's a-
jaw
that is a
on
big
the
ant.
These ants are
floor.
gonna go to war.
Welcome to part 5
Oh my gosh.
of my ecosystem
This is gonna get
vivarium
crazy.
series, where Mother Nature starts to take over the
Ooh,
show
Gecko.
here on the Ants Canada.
I'm
Ant
hype.
channel.
I'm so hyped. Let's go.
A war of creatures.
What does an ant ward even look like? Do they both line up on either side?
We're about to find out, Alec.
Alec, I am an ant professional. Okay, they send the drone ant at each other, and then they have to interrupt their pathways to get supplies. So ants have pathways where they gather food or materials, and then they feed it to the queen. And then the other ants can take over by disrupting their pathways.
It's
That
simple
sounds like
stuff.
the dumbest thing I ever
It's simple
heard.
stuff, Alec.
Alec clearly doesn't understand ant war.
First member to enter for the Gaia event. At just the right moment, she leaped down and fell into a pillowy bed of vining plants.
What kind of
and
ant is
moss.
that?
Sitting still, she couldn't help but suddenly take in the vast new world into which she had just been released. Whoa, she thought to herself in awe.
He doesn't know that.
Where am
Gosh,
I?
this guy is God.
This
he can
place
read minds.
was big, real big, and ominous as the clouds began to roll in. But she knew better than to just start romping around and mindlessly
She looks
begin
scared.
exploring. Her instincts were telling her that these lands, though beautiful, were also hostile.
There's gotta be
and
some ants in
dangerous.
there.
She had best watch her step. But she was the first animal to be placed in. How dangerous could Pandora be, right?
That's
well,
wrong.
AC family, turns out she was right. And I too discovered the truth about Pandora 2 days prior to Gaia.
What is the truth?
These lands were
That
already
hand
a literal
is
war
Adam to a
zone,
microwave.
and a Pandora-wide race to domination of parties had already begun amongst the most unlikely of creatures.
He's trying to say there's more animals already in there.
the
The
day
before
before
adding
Gaia.
all the animals in, I spotted a colony
I knew it.
of ants, hot in action. Ants? What kind of ants? I tried my best
Carpenter.
to identify
I'm
their
calling it.
species
Marauder.
as I watched them trailing energetically along the vertical facade of the Hallelujah
Those are black
tree
ants.
stump. They
How do you
looked
get that
so
tree stump?
familiar.
Interesting.
I followed their trail and watched as they came and went from an inconspicuous hole in the driftwood. Were the
Seems like
ants
they're
living
peaceful right
in this
now.
tree stump? I followed them down.
Well, this is
another
only
trail
one tribe of
they
ants.
established down the wood towards the mossy
ahead, girl.
floor. And that's when I saw it. A super major.
Whoa,
Hey, yo!
That thing is huge.
These were marauder ants.
Marauder ants
What were
called
marauder
it.
Is he like
Ow.
carrying them back
In
to base?
disbelief,
She-
I had
she
to
is
double
big.
check on
That
my
is a
Leviathan,
That's huge.
my longtime colony of marauder
Oh my-
ants, to see if they had somehow escaped or something.
Escaped?
But nope, all was well.
He has a whole
and the
colony just
Leviathans
chilling?
Were all
Wait,
in
so how
their
did they
setup.
get into
These marauder
Pandora?
ants were
I think we're about to find
Because
out.
everything that he put in Pandora, not everything that he put in Pandora, but some things that he put in Pandora, he got from like the wilderness. Like the giant tree stump that's in there, he actually went out, grabbed it, and then brought it into his own home. And he's saying that what he didn't realize is that there actually were ants living in there already.
Oh, or maybe they're termites if they're living in wood.
Oh, that's true.
Well, those are clearly ants, but there might be termites as well.
Could be termites in there.
But yeah, he accidentally brought these ants into the vivarium.
That's only the first ant colony we see, though. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more.
There's about to be a war in Pandora.
and must have been introduced by way of the tree stump. When we first extracted the stump from the ground,
Alex, a
I
genius.
do remember
Wait,
a
how
lot
did
of
Alex
us
know
getting
this?
bitten by marauder ants. But I just assumed it was from an ant trail.
That is
passing
daddy
by the
ant.
stump,
Oh my gosh.
Because marauders usually nest in soil, not wood. It never occurred to me that there were possibly marauder ants actually living inside the stump. Furthermore, I was never bit once during the installation of the stump into the
They
tank.
were just hiding in
But
there.
now that I saw them in here, I had some questions. Judging from their active trails and the size of the super majors,
Oh my gosh.
this was no young colony of marauders.
Like 10 times the
How
size
big
of the
was this
smaller
colony?
ones.
They had to be a colony in the thousands of workers, at least, to have super majors.
Okay, so there's
Was
about
the
to be
queen
like
in
a
here too?
super ant
Or
war.
was she left in the ground at the site of extraction? I couldn't help but wonder. But as I stressed to think about what would happen if this marauder ant colony would completely grow to dominate Pandora, I was suddenly brought aback by the frightful sighting
Uh-oh.
I made next.
What else is in there?
Oh! The red
ants!
ants! The Alicants!
Fire ants.
These are my
What were
my
fire
ants right
ants
here,
doing?
baby.
Okay,
Come
so
on.
now there's 3
I
different
checked up on
species of
Volcano.
ants.
Oh, I think 2, right?
Just 2?
Yeah, so far.
Oh, I wasn't sure if he added in other ants yet.
No. He hasn't added anything. It's only the marauders and the fire ants that he found.
Do ants ever just get along? Or
No.
Never.
No,
Never.
they're very tribal.
As soon as they come across each other, they have to battle over resources.
Oh gosh, okay. All right, so it's about to go down.
Yeah.
My fire ant island of the Crimson Knights. But they too were also inside.
This guy has so many animals at his
Insecure.
house.
So these fire ants were introduced too.
Wow.
Perhaps through the soils of one of the plants. I watched as they worked
That's
vigorously
awesome.
to construct their tunnels.
Ants are
There were a
terrifying.
lot. Perhaps not as many as marauder ants, but enough. They had to be a somewhat smaller colony, because had they been bigger, I definitely would have been attacked and stung during planting, and would have surely noticed. It was just dismaying though, to see that fire ants had been introduced to Pandora, because as many of you may know, fire ants are invasive and are notorious at killing, displacing,
Just like
and
Alec.
outcompeting native ants in the ecosystems they have conquered. Furthermore, what I found crazy was how close the fire ant nest was to the active trails of the marauder ants.
Oh,
my
God.
It's about to go
Their
down.
trails cross.
brave
It's
enough to
inevitable.
start
Game
wandering
time.
onto the mossy
They actually are
beds,
so close. Look
and
at them.
just a stone's throw away were the marauders. I felt it
This
was
is
only
dangerous.
a matter of time before the fire and marauder ant lines would meet.
I
fact,
think they could be friends.
they
Oh,
already
there's the
were.
first meeting.
This
Oh,
was-
immediate
There we
attack.
go.
Immediate.
Team native
I think he got
versus
stung.
Team invasive
He's sending out a
ants.
signal right now
And
to
I
the other
couldn't
marauder
believe
ants.
It was all
How do they communicate to each other? What's the signal? Like is it noise frequency?
I'm pretty sure they send out pheromones. So they like send out a scent and then that's how the other ants know.
They also do this.
Alec, is that why you always smell like crap? Do you send a signal out to all the other fire people?
I thought they have like ginger telekinesis.
I was wondering why his pheromones are always so bad.
I will say, shouldn't the fire ants like destroy the black ants? Because fire ants are like poisonous, or they have like the sting.
Oh, they have a stinger.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're more powerful than most other ants.
Did you see some of those guys on the other ant army? They have like those giant, they have the giants.
I know, but all I'm saying is, Adam, if you come across a black widow that can poison you, you're gonna die, right? Doesn't matter the size, it's about the poison.
They got Fee-Fi-Fo-Ho over there, and she's gonna come stomping over.
I could just pee on it and sterilize it. No biggie.
all playing out right before my eyes within our ecosystem vivarium of Pandora.
And there's nothing that he can do. He either kills both colonies or he just
At the
lets this
summit of
play
the
out.
Hallelujah
You gotta
tree
let them play
stump,
out.
Oh, the snails. They're killing
were
snails.
quietly performing their important
Those are
work.
termites.
There were termites in here too. I
Ew.
couldn't believe
Those
it.
are
These
termites.
Those are
were
disgusting.
Termes termites that
Yeah,
live
they are
in
gross.
and eat wood.
I've never seen a
Looks
termite
like
this
this
close.
tree stump brought in a lot of cool creatures to seed Pandora. Check out the soldiers. They have these
Ew.
special tubes that stick out of their faces, in which a nauseous, sticky chemical mix can be shot
like
out
Adam's
at
nose.
enemies, mainly
Yeah.
ants. So cool, right?
It's like when
No,
Adam
I felt
sneezes and
honored
the
to watch
disgusting
this
amount of
colony
phlegm
of
comes out.
termites repairing and building their tunnels along the outside of this tree stump. These dirt
That's pretty
tunnels,
cool.
by
They
the
have-
way, are made from their poop and hardened.
Yeah, pretty
to form
cool,
a
dude.
Protective tube.
So
through which
Adam
the
is team
colony
termite, I'll be the team marauder, and Alec is team fire ant.
Yeah, Team Adam literally eats wood, poops it out, and that's its home.
And they
It
sneeze
lives
out
in its-
attacks.
We're fully recyclable. We're fully recyclable.
Adam is all about reusing, reducing, and recycling.
Yep.
It lives in poop tunnels.
How do you think we're supposed to make it to year 3000? Gotta reuse everything.
Oh my god. Adam, please start making your own poop tunnel in the backyard.
Who says I
I'm gonna
haven't
vote
started?
against that.
Oh,
found
that's
safely.
good.
As they ate through the wood, I began to wonder if the termites were the reason the marauders loved living inside the tree stump. There was a constant food source available to them here. Assuming they're quick enough to dodge the sticky stuff shot at them, from the soldiers, of course. In 2 hours,
Oh,
the
so
tunnels
they're
were
feeding on
done,
the termites.
and the termites could continue
Oh, wow.
working and eating within the
They
privacy
poop so
of their
quick.
concealed
Whoa.
work and poop tunnels.
Wow.
That was
safe from any
insane.
ants
We get after
for
it.
now. Pandora.
I wonder who was like in charge of building, you know, and he's like commanding, like, John, you gotta take a turn yet? Go poop in corner 3.
They've done that a lot.
I'm just saying, someone has to be in charge of directing other people or other termites where to poop.
No, isn't it crazy? They don't even direct. They just know. They have like a hive mind where everybody just knows that they have to poop to make the tunnel. Imagine that like being in your nature. Like you literally just poop to make a tunnel and you just know as soon as you're born, I'm gonna poop to make a tunnel.
Pandora had become a place where new unlikely animal life was springing forth. A little tiny reflection of light caught my eye.
Ew.
Like something was using a tiny mirror to Morse code me a message.
I hate
Do you
flies.
see it?
Why
I looked
do you
onto
hate
a clump
flies?
of
What is
some
wrong with
baby
flies?
seedlings
I've never heard of someone
annoying.
that
and
doesn't like
spotted
flies.
a tiny
He's
creature.
like, hey, they're pooping everywhere.
A
Nobody
small
likes
fly
flies. Everybody
that
hates
just
flies.
emerged from its pupa in the
Flies
soils.
eat poop, though.
Looked out into the new world.
He's
with
gonna
its
eat their
new
nest.
Fly body. It ran its legs through its unused wings to get the hemolymph.
Don't flies
flowing
only
through
live
its
for like
veins
2 days?
in preparation
I think
for
less.
its first flight. It was interesting to see that even prey animals, like flies, had unintentionally found their way into Pandora. The marauder ants were really trailing now, establishing clear lines to and from various
So
places.
the
in
war
Pandora.
pheromone signals have been released.
Even the majors dispatched
Pretty much, yeah.
to protect the trails, or perhaps chop things. Watching them make their way through the tall moss was like watching a pack of wolves moving swiftly through the woods.
About to go down.
That
I
is so
actually
cool.
love marauder ants because of the way they trail. They were still marching up the wood, but one such trail, coming from the right of the foot of the
Here we
Hallelujah
go.
stump, was especially active, and I followed it to see what all the marauder fuss was about.
Here we go.
Let's see what these ants are up to.
It might be battle time.
Oh, they brought the big guns. They brought the giants in there.
In fact,
on,
this
fire
path
ants.
became so important to the ants that they began clear-cutting all living moss laying in the way. They were determined to
wow.
make this
Wait.
a permanent
They're
marauder highway.
deforesting the
and
area.
The moss wasn't
Oh,
their
they're making a
favorite track
highway, I
for
see.
them to navigate.
That's pretty
Pretty
cool.
much.
Piece by piece, the workers
didn't know how
worked
smart they
hard
were.
to cut the moss up. And hey, what's that? Amazing.
What?
Okay, that's
I
me.
then discovered that these moss forests, through which our marauders were parading, were home to these creatures. Tiny
is
road
that?
beetles.
Oh
They crawled
gosh.
through the moss, searching for food. My guess was they were either hunting little tiny creatures that live in the moss, or were feeding on the fungi that attack the moss.
I think they're blind.
Road
Not the
beetles, depending on
fungi.
species, can have very diverse diets. But cool to see the marauders not interested in bothering them at all.
See, they can be
It was
friends
at
with
this
things.
time that I also found something else in the moss that the marauders didn't bother with. See it? That little
Nope.
ant making its way
Oh,
through
what
the
is
moss
that?
entanglement
That's a new
is
ant.
no marauder ant.
Yo, it's
Nor
like a
is it a
spider
fire
ant.
ant. I'm actually unsure what species it is.
Third species of
Perhaps
ant.
Calyptomyrmex, but let's tentatively call them dwarf ants for now. And I watched
he's
it
all
come
by
in
himself.
contact with a marauder.
Look, look, look!
And nothing.
They're
The
friends.
marauder ant went on with its business, knowing this dwarf ant was no threat. I guess a colony of these dwarf ants too
I guess they like
were
the dwarves.
introduced into Pandora unintentionally, and
They
they
mean
were
no harm.
actively foraging alongside the marauders now. I have never ever seen this behavior before, and would have never been able to in a captive setting where I never mix ant colonies together. Interesting to know that in the wild, not all ants are enemies.
Wow.
Okay, so
It's just
why-
the fire ants that are the problem.
I didn't know that. You guys both said that like all the ants are gonna fight each other.
I guess the dwarf ants are passive.
It could be because that one ant was alone and they felt bad. They were like, oh, he doesn't have a family, he doesn't have kids, no wife. Let's just let him die alone. Let's let him live out his life. Feels bad.
Could be. Or maybe they're gonna form an alliance.
Isn't it crazy though how many different like animals and species can live together in such a small confined area?
Just like people.
Like whenever we go out in the wilderness, we don't really realize how much life is around us, but that's kind of how it is everywhere.
There are probably insects inside of your room right now that you don't even know about.
They say you swallow 8 spiders in your sleep in your lifetime.
I'm gonna act like I didn't hear that.
I sleep with my mouth taped shut, so I'm good.
It could crawl up your nose.
Yeah, you definitely get
That's
at least
why I
4
tape
a
my
night
nose
in
too.
your nose.
I breathe through my ears.
Yeah, it could crawl up your butt.
Well, all right.
It's the only thing I leave for airflow.
Why were the
Classic.
marauders so eager to cut a trail through here? What were they after? Following the trail from the Hallelujah stump,
There's gotta be
I
something.
through the
smell a
moss,
fight coming.
I noticed the trail extending to the eastern lands of Pandora. To here, the Cave of Wonders,
Whoa.
whose dark and humid cavernous chambers extend into the
Amazing.
moss hills that surround it. Interesting.
I
Were
wonder
the
if they're
marauders
trying to get
planning on
water.
relocating from the Hallelujah
100%.
stump to the cave? What was so
How
special
did they get water?
about this cave?
I think they just
I
like
would
They have
assume
fog.
droplet.
They have
But I was
fog. Yeah, they
suddenly
get the droplets.
distracted by a commotion happening at the other end of Pandora. A fight between a
Oh,
fire
it's
ant
happening.
and 2 marauder
It's going down out of
ants.
nowhere.
Oh! But this was
Here we
the
go.
official
Get
him, fire
beginning
ant!
of the war.
Oh my god.
Yes,
I am
damn.
not Team Fire Ant.
First blood. First blood has been drawn.
You got hit.
Scrambled around.
You got hit
They're
bad.
scrapping.
Bloody mission to kill. The marauder ants
They look like
sounded
they're
the
just
enemy
screaming. They're like,
alarm
ah!
by releasing pheromones.
They're so crazy.
Soon
That's what I would do if I was in war.
colony.
don't know what
Marauders
to do.
began hunting
Don't shoot
the
me,
stray
ah!
fire ants down as they ducked and
Oh my
hid
gosh, they're trying to
into
hunt.
the moss to evade the marauder forces.
Wait, there's way more marauders than fires.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
fair.
fires getting beat.
Drama
Yeah,
was,
dude.
I
The
found
marauders
It was like a
will win.
3v1.
A major was informed of the
Uh-oh.
fire ant forces.
Uh-oh.
And it
Oh, look, he
came
just told him. He said,
rampaging through. To
Major's
know
coming in.
it
GG's.
was over.
GG's,
Like an
Alec.
angry rhino, she
To your
pushed
stupid
No,
fire
that's
ants.
nothing.
through the moss.
Oh
and
my
appeared
gosh,
on the
dude.
scene
It's crazy
where
to
she
think
could
that
smell
it's
the
just the
fire ant
women.
blood
Only the
all
women
around.
fight. Isn't that crazy?
Where are
That's
they?
how lions are,
Where
too.
Are they?
Women!
Enemy at 'em.
Unless
I
there's
would
like a
hate to be
big
fire
big
ant
animal they have to take down,
contending with a
then
worked-up marauder major
man will
right
get
now.
involved for
The
lions.
fire ants were too distracted to notice
It's
how
because
close they
the
were
leader
coming
is a
to her.
queen, so of course it would be all
Suddenly,
women.
Of
Bam!
course.
Oh my gosh!
Straight into her jaw.
With that fire ant's gonna put up a fight.
Down with a force the fire ant
Oh,
would
look, the
never
fire
know.
ant's so quick though.
Another
Look at
marauder
him.
helping along.
He's like a
got that
ninja.
stinger too.
Escaped, which enraged the major even
Oh,
more.
he's so
as
mad.
she
Dude,
rampaged
she's
around
angry.
in search of more fire ants. A wounded fire ant came out of hiding right
Oh,
in the major's path.
Oh, he's trying to sting.
Oh,
He's trying to sting.
The
Oh!
major went
Get it,
down
get it, get it,
to
get it, get it.
finish the fire ant off.
Sting him.
But suddenly,
What you didn't have?
There was a
major
sting. There was a
recoiled
sting.
in pain.
Go ahead, girl.
Oh,
Go ahead,
fire
girl.
ant had stung him.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right
hey,
there.
he's shaking that booty. You guys saw that? He's shaking that thing.
He said, "Get off me, little girl."
I wish I had a stinger on my butt. I'd be shaking that all day.
Oh, that thing got stung. What's crazy is like fire ant bites hurt us humans. Like, so I can't imagine what it feels like to them. Their whole body is probably trembling.
Yeah, I wonder if that's lethal. Just one sting can take down an ant.
I feel like it should be, but we're about to find out.
And stationed
I hope
behind
it
a
is.
boulder of soil.
That's that giant.
Was this sting fatal? Not yet.
Yes,
I
he's
watched
good.
as the major brushed herself off,
She's good.
still clearly in pain, to return to the site
Oh,
to
no.
continue finishing off the fire ant.
She's back for more.
Before she
Wow.
could
Come on.
Oh my
She just
God.
knocked him up.
escaped into a darkened hole in the soil.
Arr.
I
Dang
couldn't
it.
believe the battle I had
Look
just
at that little rat.
but I don't think anything could have prepared me for how this great war between ant powers would soon end.
Yeah,
and
guys,
what
that
other
was just the
superpowers
beginning.
Were waiting in the wings to join in on this fight.
We got a lot of journey left. A lot of
Feels like a
battles.
commercial
a lot
break.
of war. Another enemy appears.
Another
Tiny
enemy
baby
appears.
grasshopper
What? How is that an enemy?
made its
Seriously?
way up the
That
glass,
is not an enemy.
moving ever
Kill
so
it!
slowly. It needed to move leg
It's
by
like a
leg
sloth.
like this
Is
in
it
order that
flying?
predators wouldn't easily
Oh.
spot it. From afar,
It looks like
one
a
could
mine.
hardly see
Oh
that
my
it was
gosh.
moving
So
ever
small.
so slowly and ever so smoothly. This grasshopper must have been introduced
I wonder
here
what
too,
it's thinking right
through
now.
one of the plants, and it seemed it too
I
was
am
well aware
speed.
that Pandora was full of dangers. But just as I began to become entranced by the grasshopper's slow-mo trot, an ant appeared on the scene. It was a black
Oh,
crazy
it
ant. What?
catapulted.
No! There were black
Wait,
crazy
they're
ants
literally
in
called
here
black
too?
crazy ants.
How? Black crazy ants are another invasive species. And
fourth
here was a
species.
scout
No.
inspecting.
Wait, so there's the black crazy ants, the marauder ants, and the fire ants.
And the termites.
And the dwarf
and the
ant.
one random dwarf ant.
And the dwarfs. Yes, so there's 5 different, like, ant-like species inside of this Pantora.
And there's the grasshopper and the termite. And these are all animals that he didn't even know that he brought in. That's crazy.
That's nature, baby.
Inspecting the lands, it could smell the trail of marauders and moved away at a safe distance.
I wonder why they're called black crazy
to
ants.
study what the marauders were up to. It
Because
followed
they're
the path
black
of
and they're
marauder
crazy.
ants, safely above their
That
trail.
would make sense.
And when it felt it had gathered all
wonder what makes
information
them so
it
crazy.
needed, it turned back to head
Look at
home
them.
to
They
the
look
colony
crazy.
They kind of look like
to share
spiders.
what it had learned.
I guess maybe
They
like
got long
the...
legs.
Pandora,
Yeah.
Like,
where the black crazy ants
crazy.
camped out.
The way that
I
they
was
move.
determined to follow it.
Ah!
Who
Where
we
did that
saw
get-
in the last
what?
video was actually misgendered by me as a male. Turns out,
Idiot.
she's a female. Guess I should have asked
another
for her
girl.
pronouns.
Girl
She
power.
sat contently.
Those females are
eating
dangerous
the
in
fly
there.
she had just caught. Guess the fly we saw
Oh,
earlier had a
GG's.
short flight.
Oh
it was
my
awesome
God.
to know that the predators
Oh my
were
God.
already managing to hunt and find prey.
That thing is
but then
actually
I
kinda
spotted
cool.
another jumping spider. But this
2?
time, it was on the outside of the tank.
Oh, look, it's
This
making its
was
web.
a male, and you'll see
Is it
why
gonna
in a
jump?
sec.
Is that all it
hey there,
also
little
poops?
guy. I bet he could smell there was a female
Mm-hmm.
inside. So I captured him and put him inside. He landed onto the asparagus fern. The jumping spider stood still for a second, but then moved to look around.
These things give
Enjoy
me the
Pandora,
jeebies.
little one. Welcome to your new home.
This guy is a
I was
matchmaker.
pleased to discover how
So many
stunning
eyeballs on
and
it.
handsome he
What
was.
if they eat each other?
See those 2 bulbous
Hello.
organs
I
on the
think
sides
most
of his
spiders
face?
do.
Those are emboli, and how you can tell he's a male spider. But what amazed me was how intelligent and aware he seemed as he assessed
So smart.
what had just happened and where.
So much to see. Oh my God.
So smart.
He's either incredibly smart or incredibly dumb. It's one of the two.
I can't even imagine having 4 eyes that are just so wide like that. Like,
We can only see in 4K. This dude's seeing in 24K.
He has eyes in the back of his head too. Like, what does that even look like in your brain? How do you process all of that?
Have you ever seen a 360 VR?
Yeah, but you have to like look around, like you have to turn it.
It's like, you ever see panorama photos? It's like that, but you can see it all at once.
But like in your brain, it all looks like it's in front of you, but you can like, so it's like you're driving and you have the rear view mirrors.
Yep.
but that's in your brain.
But yeah, but it's in your brain.
Yes.
Wow.
So
You should know more than all of us. You have 4 eyes too.
he was now. He then turned to explore his new surroundings with his multiple eyes, which give him some amazing
bald.
powers of sight.
Would you guys trade
Jumping
away your
spiders
ears
are
for
some of
2
the
extra
coolest
eyes?
spiders around.
Never.
That don't make permanent webs, but are always on the move.
I would
stalking their
trade my
prey.
nose
I
for a
hoped he
butt
would
that
find
could
the
web
female
out stuff.
and help seed a new generation of jumping spiders within Pandora. It was then that I decided to
skinny
name
waist.
these 2 jumping spiders
He
Adam
keeps it tight.
and Eve. He leaped and
Adam,
landed
it's
onto
you,
a
bro.
nearby vine where he could smell his Eve's lifeline silk
Where's my Eve?
somewhere nearby, and continued on his search for her.
Oh, this is a
running
love story
up
now.
The vine.
Wait, but back
It was
to the
finally
ants.
the big day
Yes.
of Gaia, the day more animals would be moving in.
Oh,
Yes.
I
no,
couldn't
no.
help but stop
We gotta
and
see how this
stare
ant war.
at the beauty of Pandora at sunrise, as the misty clouds blew through the lands. It was all so beautiful. How on earth did we create this, AC family? The mist formed a morning dew on all the plants.
That's how they get their
and
water.
It was as if we were given this blessed, unique opportunity to watch how a rainforest prepares for its day of biological action. I can honestly say, creating this ecosystem
That's
vivarium with
amazing.
all of you has been one of the best experiences of my life. I mean, it's crazy to think that this entire thing began as our idea, and watching it all come together and manifest before our eyes has been my greatest honor. I continue to spot new creatures at
This
every
is awesome.
corner. A small millipede
Yo!
wandered the vegetation. It only preferred to emerge when the mists blew through.
I hate that.
It searched the vegetation
I can't believe that
and
actually
rotting
exists in the
material
world.
to
That is
chew on
insane.
before
look at
retreating
his
So
to
many
its
legs.
shadows during the drier parts of the day.
I wonder if
The
it'll
shoulder
fight
of the
against the
Hallelujah
ants.
tree stump was the chosen location for a young
Wow.
orb weaver spider
Starfish?
who lay in its
Oh.
web waiting patiently for a catch. Little delicate mushrooms poked out from the soils overnight to spread their spores throughout the area.
Wow.
A weevil beetle up on the moss wall
Weevil
emerged to
beetle.
greet the morning mist before heading back into the moss wall
He
when
was
the
just saying
mist
good
ended.
morning.
But that's when I spotted a black crazy
Here
ant.
we go.
Oh
This
my
was where
gosh.
they were
Oh my
stationed.
gosh.
It's about to
It's
turn.
about
See,
to
they were
go
gathering
spreading.
within
They
one
are
of the larger
spreading.
tarantulas on the moss wall. They had probably set up a station somewhere behind the wall. And look, They were full.
Whoa.
In fact, I
Of
began
what?
to wonder,
Full of what?
were all
Water?
these ants even eating? While inspecting
They're
marauder
full?
ant trails, whose dirt roads through the moss were now pretty defined.
There's the giants.
I did also catch one ant feeding a major through trophallaxis. Were
that's
the ants
cute.
managing to
What?
find an ample food
Trophallaxis?
source I didn't
Is that
know
what we
about?
do, Adam?
Try that,
Despite
guys.
it being prior to
so.
me adding creatures in, where were the ants finding their food?
I don't know.
Was it drink?
It's got to be the fire ants.
AC family,
Maybe it's
this
the termites.
question led me to a pretty amazing
be the
discovery.
termites.
At
Wait,
Pandora's
there's a
pond
whole
area,
lake
I
in
spotted
here?
a couple
Yes, it's a whole
snails,
ran forest.
probably introduced through the floating water lettuce.
Oh, I called the snails. I
But
did
more
call that.
Interestingly,
True.
I spotted
But you did think that
ants,
they were termites.
marauder ants on the water lettuce.
killing
with
the
social
snails?
stomachs full of pond water.
Oh.
Wow. I had
So they
no
were
idea
drinking.
marauder ants were so proficient around water. But how are they getting here? Surely they didn't swim. Nope. Turns
The
out
tree.
they were climbing the vines.
Vines.
What?
Oh.
Marauder ants were capable of going arboreal? Now this was new info.
New word
First
unlocked.
evolution at
New
its
word
finest.
unlocked.
Our pond water was tinted a dark brown color.
What is
But
in that
don't
water?
panic.
Disgusting.
This was all totally normal, as the tint was from tannins
It's normal.
leaching from the wood that was in the water.
Very cool.
It actually
so
made
there's
these waters
nutrition
very healthy
in the
for
water.
animals living in it, and highly nutritious for animals drinking from it. It
You
was
should
like
add a mud
natural
skipper.
I want
tea
some of that water.
for animals. And that's when I
Mud skipper would
realized,
be awesome.
aha! That's why the Marauders had established a highway to and from the Cave of Wonders.
course.
They were sourcing this nutrient-rich water.
This is a good thing for now, but I think this is going to be the only water source that all the ants have. So eventually, they're all going to have to go there, and stuff's about to go down.
That is true. It's like in Africa when there's only one watering hole left, and then the crocodiles and the lions and the bears and everybody's got to come together. There's going to be a war.
From the pond. This water system was a valuable natural resource for the Marauders, hence the highway, and even the black crazy ants, who were also visiting
They
the pond.
crazy.
See, they're both going there already.
Nutrient-rich tea water.
They're
But
so
AC
crazy.
family, after making this cool discovery, then came what had to be the saddest scene
No.
I witnessed in
Not the fire
Pandora.
ants. Not the fire ants.
The fire ants are going to cause problems like they
A
always
fire
do.
ant
Oh.
and a marauder
No.
major in a deathlock.
Are they hugging?
It was
In
hard
a
to tell
deathlock?
exactly what was happening.
Oh, it's on its
but
back
from
and
the
it's
looks of
stinging it.
things, the fire ant had chopped down on the waist segment of the major.
He paralyzed
Get off
them.
me, Alec!
Get off
Get
them.
off of me!
The fire
Ew.
ant
Stop
had
it!
also been
Wait, there's
badly
two fire
injured.
ants.
But why weren't the other marauder ants helping their large major sister?
I don't
You
know.
would think they would all be swarming in there
Help
to
a
help
sister
her
out.
But no, it was as if the major was shouting for the other marauders to stay back. The
Sacrifice.
major knew she would be dying today and felt it
Oh,
wasn't worth
no.
losing another marauder on her team to a possible sting.
Elbows,
And
elbows.
also
That's
dead
crazy that you're
fire ant.
celebrating
It was a
right now.
com-
This
Kamikaze.
was a one-for-one
Whamp
battle.
whamp. One
and
marauder
both
down.
ants would be dying now. The Marauder sisters
So worth it.
watched from the
They
sidelines.
just start burying her. Look.
Not even
They're
other
giving
her a
majors
kiss
were
goodbye.
Oh my
dying.
gosh.
And then, in a shocking turn of heart-wrenching events, the Marauders began to bury
What?
both the
They do
major
that?
and the fire ant.
That's
until they were
crazy.
Wait, they're kind of
concealed
still both
in the
alive though.
soil.
They're still
This
alive.
truly
What?
sad scene
They just got
stayed
buried
in
alive.
my mind
Wait,
over
they're
the
like
next few
humans.
days
What?
and affected me
I did
greatly.
not know they buried
Does
ants
that,
like
does
that.
that, do ants believe in religion? Are they religious?
I don't know. I
How
don't
do they know to bury their dead? That's crazy.
That is insane.
They respect the life. That's why they don't want to see it
Wow.
dead all around the highway.
Well, all I have to say is, El Bozo, El Marauder ants, get
Oh, you
owned.
died too.
Yeah.
You're
Get
such a
owned.
coward. You literally just like sacrificed your body. Freaking
That was just
weirdo.
one basic fire ant, though, and we took down one of your good, strong giant Pokemon.
My queen will make 12 of those by
Get
tomorrow.
owned, get owned, elbows,
All your ants are basic, Alec.
We have stinging powers. That is epic.
You basic. You basic.
We
Apparently,
are toxic.
ants bury their dead for hygiene within the colony to prevent disease spread and also to send out chemical signals. There's a death pheromone that they let out.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
Oh wow.
They are geniuses. They do it to prevent disease. That is
Yeah,
like
that's smart.
human level smart.
Yeah, these ants are way smarter than I give them credit for.
That's like chimpanzees, you know, like picking fleas off of each other for hygiene. It's just like these animals have learned so much.
Just so much instinct. I don't think that they think, though. I think it's just their instinct taken taking over, you know?
Yeah, they don't think about what they're doing. They just do it.
It's what I do too.
Greatly for some reason.
Adam hasn't showered in 3 weeks.
As a personal rule,
My
I
instincts
don't
tell me not to.
intentionally war my pet ant colonies together. But this
Adam's
was
pheromones are
different.
crazy.
I didn't meticulously raise these ants as my pets from just their queens. These were wild ants with a wild understanding of the world and
Can you
wild
tame an
intentions
ant?
of survival. It was actually one of the reasons I created this whole ecosystem vivarium in the first place. I wanted to study just how ants truly live
playing hide and
out
seek.
in nature in a way that I couldn't through my ant farms, including the
got
real
'em.
dangers they would
The fire
contend
ants
with
always go after
in
the
their
big guys.
natural
Got 'em.
habitat, like living among other species of ants. I had learned a lot so far, but I knew this was all just the beginning.
Bum, bum, bum.
It seemed the Marauders had come out victorious in the end, though. The fire ants had retreated, completely sealing up their nest holes. Not a fire ant in sight now. But I
Wow,
knew
they
better
retreated.
than to
They
think
retreated.
This was the last we'd see of them. I knew this strategy all too well.
They retreated.
Protected below ground.
No, they died.
Assuming
No.
there was a queen in there.
Look.
The fire ants
We are
were
recruiting.
focused on amassing their numbers,
Nah, we're
only
gonna
surfacing
kill
to
her.
forage for food.
We're gonna kill
in
her.
safer
We are
areas
building our
away from the
army.
marauders.
Yeah, they
Then,
kind of are
once
building
a
an army.
larger colony,
That is gross.
emerging
Yo!
strong to fight them. The power
Oh!
of fire ants lies in their numbers, and the fire ants knew exactly what
They
they
might
would
take
do.
over
One
this whole
fire ant can
Vivarium.
take out a
Only time would tell if
marauder.
the fire ants would return to seek vengeance one
Nah.
day, to wipe out their adversaries and
They're gonna be
claim
too scared.
Pandora and
They're
all
the
its
Avengers.
resources theirs. Inside, I hope not. I also wondered how the black crazy ants would come into play with all this. But the reality is, invasives are also part of many ecosystems. An ecosystem
We may
is
have
what I
lost the
sought to
battle, but the
design,
war has just begun.
and it turns out, an ecosystem was exactly what we got. Everything was pushing the
Oh my
limits of
God.
survival in this tank.
The poop
I mean,
termites.
have a look at this.
Poop mites.
The banyan tree
What is
vines.
that?
The
I strung
termites.
all around
Hey,
the
yo.
vivarium, thinking they were dead, were indeed
Hey,
not.
yo!
Don't make it weird.
New
Don't make
air
it
roots
weird.
were starting to sprout from
Whoa.
them, both underwater and in the
That's
air.
awesome.
The vines were alive. Did this mean that a whole banyan tree was about to grow in Pandora? Crazy to discover that even an entire tree was secretly conspiring to clone itself into existence, to become alive within our rainforest vivarium. The Marauders were using these vines now, too, as highways to access all areas of the forest.
Yeah, that's
Pandora
right. Dance on
had
the fire
indeed
ants.
taken
Dance
on
on
a
'em.
dynamic energy and soul of its own. And all we could do now was watch the system take shape. To quote my favorite movie of all time, if there's one
Forrest
thing
Gump.
the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life
It's that
will
fire
not be
ants suck.
contained. Life breaks free. It expands to new territories and crashes through barriers. Painfully, maybe even dangerously. Okay, let's just omit that last part. I spotted Eve, our jumping spider, now feasting on one of the marauder ants
No!
she caught traveling along the vines.
we were
and I was reminded that though
we were
danger
friends.
was
Yeah,
at every
the marauders
turn
getting
in these vast
destroyed.
lands,
Eve,
for the
but
creatures
Just imagine getting caught by a spider. That's a
Was that
nightmare.
girl crazy?
Look, he sent out the pheromones.
Our cloud rainforest
Yeah, the death
vivarium
pheromones.
was already
Help!
a functioning ecosystem. Life
That would be so terrifying.
found a way.
Wow. Epic. That was epic.
Well, guys, if we learned one thing, it's that marauder ants are insanely OP, and fire ants kind of trash.
For now.
This is an entire series, so if you guys want us to watch the next episode, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and click right here.